Zach's got a lot of editing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be all right though.
Welcome to the Wentworth CM Club podcast. Today we are brain building with our guest Julia Gravano. I'm your host Chase, and I'm a sophomore in the Wentworth CM program, and I'm also Associate Secretary of the Construction Management Club. Our other hosts today are Zach and Adam.
My name is Adam O'Rourke. I am the CM Club photographer, and I am one of your co-hosts.
And my name is Zack Grenier, and I'm a sophomore in construction management with a concentration in facilities management, and I'm also director of marketing for the club.
Hi guys, thank you for having me. My name is Julia. I am the president currently for the CM Club. I am a rising senior in the Wentworth CM program, and I'm also concentrating in facilities management.
We're so excited to have you, Julia. So our first question is, what attracted you to Wentworth Institute of Technology and the construction management program?
So that's, I guess, a funny question. So I originally came to Wentworth because it's pretty well known for their architecture program as well. And I thought that was what I wanted to do. And I remember coming to an open house and literally crying in the gym because I found out exactly what architect students do and post-graduation, and I was like, this is not for me. What am I going to do now? So I saw another booth for facilities and construction and thought that sounded interesting and figured I need to pick myself up and regroup and figure it out. So I went over to the facilities booth and I went to their info session with Professor Cristiano, and I learned all about their program and I really loved it. I felt like it was a mixture of everything, and eventually when I was applying to the school, I found out that facilities was also combined with construction, so I felt like that was the perfect two-in-one education. And just in general, I knew Wentworth was a school for me just from visiting. I loved the surrounding and being in the city and the quad, and just everything about the campus had such a small, intimate feel of a school, and I just felt like it was perfect for me for the next 4 years.
So Julia, how did you get involved with the CM Club?
So when I first got to school, I found out that just being in the CM major, you're already part of the club. I chose to be an active member. But when I was a freshman/sophomore, I was looking at creating a regular facilities management club, since there was a club before the actual major got dissolved. So I figured that'd be a good way to have the concentration students kind of come together and be together as a whole. It's very hard to create a club with so limited students, so I actually brought the idea to the CM Club to possibly add on a concentration within the club. I felt like that a lot of the facility students were kind of not left out or not included, but I felt like they were kind of just floating around and didn't really have a set spot. So after speaking with the previous president of the CM Club, they figured it'd be a good idea to have a small sector of the concentration of facilities management. So that's kind of how I got involved. They eventually took me on as an e-board member, and I was slowly but surely learning on all the rules and regulations that the school has and all the different events and what it takes to put on these events. So that's kind of how I continued to be involved with the CM Club, was bringing up that idea of the concentration. And thus far, I think it's been super beneficial for the clubs. Not only have we been expanding with the types of events we do, but the students who also want to be involved with the club feel included. And we also have the real estate concentration now too that we're starting to build up within the club as well.
So Julia, you mentioned that you were president before. How did you get into the role of being president, and what does the president do for the club on campus?
Great question. So like I said before, I started out just as a plain old CM Club member, went to events, tried to participate as much as I could. And when I brought the idea of doing the facilities concentration within the club, they brought me on and kind of had me as a temporary / permanent. It was kind of a weird, confusing position, but I was like vice president for the club, but just for the facilities sector. So my job at that time was kind of bringing in all the facilities kids, making sure they wanted to be involved, and finding out what facilities events there were, and kind of almost starting up a club by itself within a club. So it was a lot of almost like business development for the club. I had to reach out to different organizations and figure out what resources were going to benefit the facilities kids themselves. So I was vice president for about a year and a half, I would say. And our previous president just left. She just graduated, which is so exciting. And I applied for the position as president, and I think that my application stood out because while our president was on co-op, I kind of helped keep things together while we were on campus and she was away working, and she didn't need that stress of working and making sure the club was still running. So I definitely wanted to keep the club on track and keep growing and keeping kids involved. So I think that helped me become president as well. I think that my hard work didn't go unrecognized in making sure that the growth of the club, not only for the facilities concentration, but now the newly real estate concentration is growing within, but also supporting the regular CM kids. We still have those events that we always did have, and now we're just trying to grow and grow and grow. And I know COVID right now is kind of putting a damper on everyone's parade and, going to events and stuff, but we're still trying to push through it and keep students involved as much as we can.
What's going on, guys? Zach here with a quick interruption. If you didn't already know, the Center for Student Engagement is hosting the Fall 2020 Involvement Fair on Wednesday, September 9th. Be sure to check them out on Instagram for more details. Their username over there is WIT Student Engagement. We will be there virtually with over 75 other clubs and student organizations like the Finance Club, Wire Radio, the Robotics Club, Student Government, and more. Be sure to check out Student Engagement on the Wentworth website or on their Instagram at WIT Student Engagement for more info.
So being on the e-board, I know more in depth what the club does, but Julia, do you mind explaining a little bit for people who might not know?
Yeah, of course. So we try to tailor all of our events and volunteer and fundraising to what students want to do. So if you are a member of our club and you want to hear from a certain person or learn about a certain topic, we're always open to hearing about like what you want to do and making sure that you're having fun participating in our events. But we try to do guest speakers, we do fundraising, site visits are pretty cool. We usually travel across the country sometimes for major organizations like CMAA, IFMA, AGC. They have large conferences and conventions. So we usually try to fundraise for that. Students pay out a cost to go to these events, but it's super cool. I've been to Phoenix, I've been to upstate New York and Syracuse, I've been to Las Vegas. So there's so many opportunities to travel with the club as well. Some other things we do is like tutoring for students. If they ever needed help in certain topics, we'll usually try to find a student that matches up with their schedule to help them out. We stay involved with the school through involvement fairs, open houses. We try to have a booth too to like talk to kids one-on-one to get a feel for like any questions that they have, and actually talking to a student versus a professor. I think that brings a different perspective into things. So we try to do a bunch of different stuff and stay involved as much as we can. We also have a ton of social media. Some of our games that we had this summer virtually to try to keep kids involved. We raffled off prizes for winners of games like Jeopardy and Bingo and stuff like that. But it's really tailored to a CM club member, whatever they want to do. We try to do it for them. Guest speakers, you name it, we try to do it as well as we can. Right now the school came out with some pretty hefty guidelines for events this summer on campus, and Zach is our new COVID compliance officer, so we'll see how that goes this summer. But being involved with the club definitely helps you network with people and gain a ton of contacts, and those contacts can help you eventually get a co-op. Chase, I know you went to a ton of like women's events while I wasn't on campus and I was on co-op this past spring. Do you want to talk about that a little bit and maybe who you met and things like that?
Yeah, of course. So I first started getting involved with the Wentworth CM Club when my college volleyball season ended. So this was like January, February. And one of the first few events I went to was a networking event catered to women. And I went one night and it was super fun. Female professors were there from Wentworth and along with other female students. And then there were also some male students, which was nice and supportive. So we just did a roundtable style talking with working women in construction in the Boston area, the greater Boston area. And they were just 10-minute conversations. So they introduced themselves. Some of them went to Wentworth actually, which was awesome. And they talked about their experience there and what they did for their work and how they rose into the into their job. And then we did some Q&As. So I asked them questions about interior construction because that was something that interests me, and they gave me a lot of insight. So that was an awesome event. There was also free pizza, which was awesome. And then shortly after, I was invited with a few other females in the program and our club advisor, Mike, to it's called a Women Inspire Awards. It was at the Marriott, I believe, in Copley, and there were awards for women in construction. And what was cool was that I saw a lot of familiar faces from the previous networking event, which was about a month ago. So it's just important to know that first impressions are really important, that you're going to see the same faces around. So it's important to meet and greet and make connections through LinkedIn. And that's what I did with some of the women. And I look forward to seeing them in future events and keeping in touch and maybe hopefully working with them one day.
Yeah, I would definitely say that the club emphasizes too on networking and expanding your network with people. It's crazy like how small the industry is and how many Wentworth alumni too are just in the industry. One of my favorite sayings, I don't know, I'm sure, Zach, I think you've heard it before, is your network is your net worth. The more people you know, the better it's going to be. And the easier it might be also to get a job, especially in, the current state of the economy right now during pandemic. I mean, knowing people is definitely helpful, and all the people in the industry are very helpful too, and they want to help out, especially students, especially when they see you're involved at events like that and just trying to be engaged and learning. Well, thank you guys for having me so much today, and I appreciate all your hard work that you guys put in for the club as well. I'm very excited for this podcast to be starting off and very honored that I'm the first guest for it. So thank you so much again, and good luck with classes for you guys, but for everyone in the fall as well. Bye.
Thanks for taking the time to check out our podcast. The Wentworth Construction Management Club is part of Wentworth Institute of Technology, a university in Boston, Massachusetts. We are always looking for new guests. If you are interested in coming on the show, please email us at cmclub@wit.edu. If you are interested in purchasing a 30 or 60-second ad to be broadcast during our show, please email cmclub@wit.edu with your name, contact information, and a description of what you would like to promote. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Just search for WIT CM Club. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the CM Club podcast.